Yo, 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 yo. Let's get it done. There we go. You know what I'm saying? We got the bass up. We got the mid up. Treble, trouble, trouble, trouble. Got to record sound effects. Yes. You know what I mean? Boom. Let us go. Let us go. Let us go. I don't want to seem short because I'm really tall up in this piece. You know what I'm saying? And today, you know what I'm saying? Welcome to 1438 North Ninth, the podcast. You know what I'm saying? Who am I? The one and only. You know what I'm saying? I was chosen. Call me Michael Coates. You know what I'm saying? And it's a pleasure to have y'all tonight. Like I said, it's an open discussion. And what it is, gonna finish up Willie Lynch. And it's definitely it's a hell of an experience. And not only it's a hell of an experience, you know, as one walks through life and as one walks through life and I take experiences and I come back. Sometimes some days are hard to swallow more than others. You know what I mean? I'm human just like anybody up in this piece. And I said that to say this, that man, I'm giving up myself for myself to help myself. You know what I mean? And why I do that, hell, there's some days they get a little rough. They get a little rough, you know? And I honestly say that it really does sometimes. The totality and the weight of me expressing and revealing, you know what I mean, the deep, dark parts of myself, it comes with a responsibility and a volition of understanding. And some days, when you coming through it, you get a little frustrated, and things like that. So like I'm saying, welcome, you know what I mean, to the podcast. It's the 1438. You know what I mean? And what are we doing? We're going to fit Willie Lynch. You know what I mean? And we're going to talk about what Willie Lynch is and the philosophies and the psychologies enacted, you know what I mean, on a group of people that didn't really want that. You know what I mean? And like I said, tell your mama, tell your sister, tell a friend that the story did begin. You know what I mean? And you are definitely in the presence of greatness. You know what I mean? Welcome. We're gonna get it done, and definitely. And like I said, just to reiterate, I'm finishing up, you know what I mean, the Willie Lynch letter. If you want to know what the Willie Lynch letter is, you know what I'm saying, you're more than welcome to go and grab that off any book site or in the Amazon. You know what I mean? Except for, I'm definitely going to break down the philosophies and psychologies, and enacted on myself and my culture as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, welcome. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give everybody a round of applause right there. I'm definitely gonna smoke some tonight because it'd be like, man, you don't want it to feel like that. So we're gonna let it go. Now, I read, in the first part, you know what I mean? I did break down the breaking process of the African woman. You know what I mean? I also revealed, the introduction to the Willie Lynch letter, and his philosophy. I also broke down Let's Make a Slave, the origin and development of a social being called the Negro, because we didn't call ourselves that. That's a subject, that's a title that was given to us, you know what I mean, by the people that oppressed us. You know what I'm saying? And not only that though, it's a culpability because if you look at the critical race theory, I got my hands on a book and it's in the book in the social studies parts. It said, and I'm gonna tell you this, it said that seasonal workers, from Africa, came over here and helped and assisted, you know what I'm saying? What do you call it? People after the pilgrims. They assisted the pilgrims, in the formation of a new land called America. They said that seasonal workers migrated from Africa. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how the hell seasonal workers migrated from Africa. That's a long voyage. And they assisted in the formation of a new land called America. Now, when I read this, I told them they can my Aztec and they can my Aztec, you know what I mean? And with a Mayan flavor, and you keep rolling and you keep going. Like I said, welcome. Today is March 20th, less than 30 days from being 51. Let's get it. Let's go. And definitely go open up your understanding. And if you don't understand the psychologies that have been put on you, if you're black, you know what I'm saying? And if you're on YouTube and you're not on my Facebook, go to Michael Coates, MichaelCoats. And if you're on Facebook, go to my YouTube. You know what I'm saying? OGKUSHMIL. It's going to lead you to 1438 North Lane, the podcast. You know what I mean? And we're going to rock and roll and get it going. And if you're not familiar, with the Willie Lynch letter, I'm definitely reiterate the beginning of the beginning of it, and it's a 28-page book. So why not read it in its entirety? Well, let's go. You know what I'm saying? And welcome. You know what I mean? And I'm saying welcome because if you never heard the Willie Lynch letter in its entirety, you will hear it today in its entirety. You will. Yes, you will hear it today in its entirety. So, sit back, roll something, because this is going to be a period of good understanding. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, welcome everybody. And it's a pleasure to have y'all. They give us February, the shortest month of the year. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and then they add a day every 4 years. That's really telling you indifferent. And one thing they did to Abraham Lincoln, they said, since you like being black, since you like black people so much, you know what I mean? We're going to make you black. And what did they do? They put the man on the penny and made him a copper. You know what I'm saying? Only in America can you grow up as a young white boy into an old white man and die, and they crucify you and they remember you in bronze because they want you to have a tan for the rest of your life. And that's what they did to Abraham Lincoln. You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you an experiment you should do. I'm going to tell you an experiment. They said that all of the presidents turned their back on Abraham Lincoln. You know what I mean? And I was like, what do you mean by that? And this is something that my friends did to me in middle school. So what they did, they took a quarter, they took a nickel, and they took a dime. And all of those presidents are looking to the left. And if you see, put the penny up against it, all the presidents turned their back on Abraham Lincoln. And that's how they did Abraham Lincoln. If you look at the penny, put down a quarter, put down a nickel, put down a dime, and put down a penny. And 3 presidents turned their back on Abraham Lincoln. Just a small experiment to show you how some of these secrets are put right in front of your face. You know what I mean? So, get back, and if you never heard a psychology, a biopsychology, this is a biopsychology right here. This is a psychology when you break down a person and you make them into an it. What I mean by it, they have no thought process. They have no way of thinking. They're in bondage. They don't know how to they don't want to get out. They develop the Stockholm syndrome, and they figure like this is how life is. You know what I mean? And this is the breakdown and the understanding of the Willie Lynch letter. You know what I mean? So let me get this right because we be fighting over here a little bit. We're going to get this damn thing right. Just like that. Cool. So, do we get it right? I think we got it right because we're going to be blowing here in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. Gentlemen, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, this is a total reading of the Willie Lynch letter. So if you haven't heard it in its entirety, you will hear it in its entirety right here, right now. You know what I'm saying? And welcome. You know what I mean? And it's a pleasure to have y'all tonight for this experience, because you definitely gonna have one. You might come to tears, you might get mad, you will understand, you know what I mean, what the Willie Lynch letter is, you know? So let us begin, you know? Oh yeah. Put that right there. Okay. Gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord, 1712. First, I shall thank you and the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves. You know what I mean? Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. As our boat sailed south on the James River, and this is only 28 pages long, you know what I mean? But it's so powerful. You know what I'm saying? Know and understand that. As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its highway in great numbers, you here are using the tree and the rope on occasion. I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple of miles back. You are not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. I am here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. Yeah, I had to change it to recording studio. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple list of differences and think about them. On the top of my list is age, but it is there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex status on plantation, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on the hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or is short. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that the distrust is stronger than trust, and envy is stronger than adulteration, respect, and admiration. The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self refueling and self generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. And if this is your first time joining me, I would like to say welcome. You know what I mean? You are in the presence of greatness. You know what I'm saying? And it's a pleasure to be in your pleasure. You know, um, welcome to 1438 North Night, the podcast, and we getting it in definitely. And I'm definitely reading the Willie Lynch letter all the way through. Let me grab some water real quick, and it's going down. Ah, had to get country. Woo! Had to get country with it. You know, definitely had to get country with it. Yes. Like I said, here we go. Page 8, the Willie Lynch letter. The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self refueling and self generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. The, don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark skinned slaves versus the light skinned slaves, and the light skinned slaves versus the dark skinned slaves. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. But it is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and only trust us. Page 9, the Willie Lynch letter. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. Thank you, gentlemen. Page 10, the Willie Lynch Letter. Let's make a slave. You see that? Page 10, the Willie Lynch Letter. Let's make a slave. The origin and develop the origin and development of a social being called Negro. Let us make a slave. What do we need? First of all, we need a black nigger man, a pregnant nigger woman, and her baby nigger boy. Second, we will use the same basic principle that we use in breaking a horse, combined with some more sustaining factors. We reduce them from their natural state in nature, whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take care of their needs and the needs of their offspring. We break that natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency state so that we may be able to get from them useful production for our businesses and pleasure. Page 11, the Willie Lynch Letter. That's page 11. You know, you don't do that to people, you know? So let us keep going. And let me hold forth a righteous tongue to get it done, you know, and not get emotional. Because, man, it is definitely an experience. Page 12 of 28, 28 pages, light, but heavy with the message that it delivered. Cardinal Principles for Making a Negro. That's the title, page 12. For fear that our future generations for fear that our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both horses and men. We lay down the art. For if we are to sustain our basic economy, we must break both of the beasts together, the nigger and the horse. We understand that short range planning and economics results in periodic economic chaos, so that to avoid turmoil in the economy, it requires us to have breadth in depth in long range comprehensive planning, articulating both skill and sharp perception. We lay down the following principles for long range comprehensive economic planning. Number one, both horses and niggers are no good to the economy in the wild or in the natural state. Two, both must be broken and tied for their orderly production. Three, for future orders, for orderly futures, special and particular attention must be paid to the female and the youngest offspring. Number four, both must be crossbred to produce a variety in the division of labor. Number five, both must be taught to respond to a peculiar new language. Number six, psychological and physical instruction of containment must be created for both. We hold above the six cardinals as truth to be self-evident based upon the following discourse concerning the economics of breaking and tying the horse and nigger together, all inclusive of the six principles laid down above. This is page 13 of the Willie Lynch Letter. Note, neither principles alone would suffice for good economics. All principles must be employed for the orderly good of the nation. Accordingly, both the wild horse and a wild or natural nigger is dangerous even if captured, for they will have the dependency to seek their customary freedom, and in doing so might kill you in your sleep. You cannot rest. They sleep while you are awake and are awake while you are asleep. They are dangerous near the family house, and it requires too much labor to watch them from away from the house. Above all, you cannot get them to work in this natural state. Hence, both the horse and the nigga must be broken. That is, break them from one form of mental life to another. Chap, page 13, bottom. Keep the body and take the mind. In other words, break the will to resist. Now, the breaking process is the same for the horse and the nigga, only slightly varying in degrees. But as we said before, you must keep your eye focused on the female and the offspring of the horse and the nigga. A brief discourse in the offspring development will shed light on the key to sound economic principles. Pay little attention to the generation of original breaking, but concentrate on future generations. Therefore, if you break the female, she will break the offspring in its early years and development and deliver it up to you. For her normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking process. For example, take the case of the wild stud horse, a female horse and an already infant horse, and compare the breaking process with two captured nigger males in their natural state. A pregnant nigger woman with her infant offspring. Take the stud horse. Break him for limited containment. Completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle, whereas you or anybody can ride her in comfort. Breed the mare and the stud until you have desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. She will eat out of your hand, and she will train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. Page 15, the Willie Lynch Letter, Departing, us two. That's the name of the picture. It's called Departing. Because when you break a unit and you break people down and you give them a different new peculiar language and you give them a new different peculiar religion, and you change and you break and you don't, oh man, it's a motherfucker. When it comes to breaking the uncivilized nigga in the same process, but vary the degree and step up the pressure so as to do a complete reversal of the mind. Take the meanest and most restless nigga, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggas, the female and the nigga infant. Tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a different horse faced in opposite directions. Set him afire and beat both horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining niggas. Page 16, the Willie Lynch Letter. The next step is to take a bullwhip and beat the remaining nigga male to the point of death in front of the female and the infant. Don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, for he can be useful for future breeding. This picture is called the sale. That's what say made them great? I don't think so. He want a bloodbath, he can get it. And this picture, let me turn this light on. This picture right here is called Ladies Whooping Girls. So, and no, this is not a picture of Willie Lynch. This is a picture of someone that existed and someone's vision of how he was supposed to look. You know, the breaking process of the African woman. Take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way because she is the most important factor for good economics. If she shows any signs of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract that last bit of bitch out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you will spoil good economics. When in complete submission, she will train her offspring in the early years to submit to labor when they are of age. That's page 17, the Willie Lynch Letter. Page 18. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking of the female nigga. We have reversed the relationships in her natural uncivilized state so she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigga male. And she would have a limited protective dependency toward her the independent male offspring and would raise female offspring to be dependent like her. Understand this, pimping, and this is the worst. The whole design and the whole plan of it, you know, is treacherous. Nature had provided for this type of balance. We reversed nature by burning and pulling one civilized nigga apart and bull whooping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone, unprotected, without the male image, and with the male image destroyed. The ordeal caused her to move from psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reversed roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent as well. What have you got? You've got the nigga, you got the nigga woman out front and the nigga man in the back behind and scared. This is a perfect situation for sound sleep and economics. Before the breaking process, we had to be alert and on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly. For out of this frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her early infant slave molding process. He is a good tool. Now he can be tied to the horse at a tender age. That's page 19 of 28 on the Willie Lynch letter. Page 20. By the time a nigga boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for a long life of sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a good unit of labor force. Continually, through the breaking of uncivilized savage niggas by throwing the nigger female savage into a frozen psychological state of independence, by killing the protective male image and by creating a submissive, dependent mind of the nigger male slave, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever. I got to give that to y'all again. By creating a submissive, dependent mind of the nigger male slave, we go back up. Continually through the breaking process, uncivilized savage niggas by throwing the nigger female savage into a frozen psychological state of independence, by killing the protective male image, and by creating a submissive, dependent mind of the nigger male slave. We have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the male and female savages. We show what we mean by example. Take the case of the two economic slave units and examine them closely. That's page 20 of a 28-page book. You know, the Negro Marriage Unit, page 21, the Willie Lynch Letter. You know, it's definitely one that makes you think, and it's definitely one that takes one of a more dependent mind state not to listen to the chains being broken, you know? And Mm. Ah. And the reason why I understand this, because I was told this long time ago. Oh, I think that's where it's at. And what do you mean when I say I was told this a long time ago? I read the Willie Lynch letter, you know what I mean, when I was like 11, so I've been knowing this the whole time, you know? So, number page 21, the Willie Lynch letter. The Negro marriage unit. We breed two nigger males with two nigger females. Then we take the nigger males away from them and keep them moving and working. Say the nigger female bears a nigger female and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females, being without influence of the nigger male image, frozen their offspring into frozen with the independent psychology will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her, and negotiate her at will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious for fear of his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. Now, in a few years, when these two offspring become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle that is good, sound, long range, and comprehensive planning. That's page 21 of a 28-page book, The Willie Lynch Letter. Page 22. 28 pages, but the word's so profound and so heavy. And they, it's a lot on these words, so understand it and know what's been done to you. You know what I'm saying? Warning: possible interloping negatives. Earlier, we talked about the non-economic good of the horse and the nigger in their wild or natural state. We talked out the principle of breaking and tying them together for early production. Furthermore, we talked about paying particular attention to the female savage and her offspring for orderly future planning. Then, more recently, we stated that by reversing the positions of the male and female savages, we had created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever. Unless phenomena occurred and reshifted the positions of the male and female savages. Our experts warned us about the possibility of this phenomenon occurring, for they say that the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time, if it can touch some substantial original historical base. And they advised us that the best way to deal with this phenomenon is to shave off the brute's mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomena or illusions, so that each illusion will twirl in its own orbit, something akin to floating balls in a vacuum. The creation of a multiplicity of phenomena or illusions entails the principles of crossbreeding the nigger and the horse, as we stated above, the purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, the results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for each spherical illusion. Since we feel that the subject may get more complicated as we proceed in laying down our economic plan concerning the purpose, reason, and effect of crossbreeding horses and niggers, we shall lay down the following definition, definitional, definitional terms for future generations. Number one, orbiting cycle means a thing turning in a given pattern. Number two, axis means upon which or around a body turns. Phenomena means something beyond ordinary conception and inspires awe and wonder. Multiplicity means a great number. Sphere means a globe. Six, crossbreeding a horse means taking a horse and breeding it with an ass, and you get a dumb backward ass. Long headed mule that is not reproductive nor productive by itself. Crossbreeding niggers means taking so many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many nigger women as possible, varying the drops by the various tones that you want, and then letting them breed with you, and then letting them breed with each other until the circle of colors appear as you desire. What this means is put the niggers and the horse in the breeding pot, mix some asses and some good white blood, and what do you get? You get you got a multiplicity of colors of ass backwards, unusual niggers running tied to backward ass long-headed mules. The one productive of itself, the other sterile, the one constant, the other dying. We keep the nigger constant, for we may replace the mule for another tool, but mule and nigger tied to each other, neither knowing where the other came from, and neither productive for itself, nor without each other. Page 25, the cotton field, you know, controlled language. It's only 28, and yet the responsibility and the opening of your eyes and the opening of your understanding, you know what I'm saying? It makes you say what? And man, it had, you know, you definitely you get in there and you say, what's going down? You know? Hmm. That is something. That is something. Page 25 of 28, the Willie Lynch letter. Yeah, you're going to get it in its entirety tonight. In the cotton field, that's the name of the picture. Crossbreeding completed. For further severance from their original beginning, we must completely annihilate the mother tongue of both the nigger and the new mule and institute a new language that involves the new life's work of both. You know, language is a peculiar institution. It leads to the heart of a people. The more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of that society. Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of the country, to the extent that he knows the body of the language, to the extent of the country, to the extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign culture? For example, you take a slave. If you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave, for you can't fool him any longer. And having a fool is one of the basic ingredients, and is one of the and having a fool is one of the basic ingredients of and incidents to the making of a slavery system. For example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops and he knows the language well, he would know that our crops didn't mean our crops, and the slavery system would break down. For he would relate on the business of what our crops really meant. So you have to be careful in setting up new language, for the slave would soon be in your house, talking to you as man to man, and that is death to our economic system. In addition, the definition of words or terms are only a minute part of the process. Values are created and transported by communication through the body of language. A total society has many interconnected value systems. And all these values in the society have bridges of language to connect them for orderly working in the society. But for these language brides, but for these language bridges, there are many value systems that would sharply clash and cause internal strife or civil war. The degree of the conflict being determined by the magnitude of the issues of relative opposing strength in whatever form. For example, if you put a slave in the hog pen and train him to live there and incorporate in him to value it as a way of life completely, the biggest problem you would have out of him is that he would worry. He would worry you about the provisions to keep the hog pen clean or partially clean, or he might not worry it at all. Page 28 in the final page of the Willie Lynch Letter. On the other hand, if you put this same, if on the other hand, if you put this same slave in the same hog pen and make a slip and incorporate them for something in his language, whereby he comes to value a house more than he does his hog pen, you got a problem. He will soon be in your house. And that's the conclusion of the Willie Lynch Letter. You know? And boom. Somebody asked me, they said, how do you feel when you communicate this? I said, it's my responsibility to communicate this. I said, it's my responsibility, to make the light goes off in people's head. It's my responsibility to get this across, so it's out there. And you can go back and look at it. You can either go to my YouTube, OGKUSHMIL, and go to the live section and check out all the videos. You know what I mean? My page does have a mission and a purpose. I'm a street talking motivational speaker, Gen X cross-generational specialist. Right now I'm at that fork in the road, changing some positions and changing new direction and incorporating and put new roads and values in my own path and square. I put myself out there cleaning out my closet, telling about what's going on in these ghosts in my head, understanding the value and importance of solid relationships, and also understanding the importance and value of not chasing people to be your friend. You know what I'm saying? But also revealing this vile psychology, this morbid mentality, and this way of thinking that has been pressed upon myself and my people. Because even when, I see white people, or I'll open the door and let people go in as a common courtesy, most of the time I have to stop and not do that, because I'm telling them that you're better than me. I'm telling them that you should go first before me, or I'm telling them, here, you should eat before I. That's a goddamn lie. I am a king. You know what I mean? Got a mouthful of money for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Success loves me, and not only that, I'm impartial. I'm a highly respectful man of other different cultures, and I'm incorporating, except for I just don't understand why every other culture hates Black culture. I'm trying to understand that. Everybody else got a chance to come and be here. We got, except the Indians, and it is their country, it's their land, and we are the only culture that is persecuted, laws trying to be broken, killed, mobbed, you can't understand, or hear the cries of somebody's foot cut off and they just sitting there crying all night, hanging. And the insect and the bugs are eating the raw flesh and blood, and a slow death is torturous. And one thing about death, and I will say this, there's a responsibility, a cultural responsibility, for everybody that think that their silence, is not complicity, for everybody that think that their bloodlines are not touched. Sometimes, I ain't gonna lie. I've been in Northbrook, I worked at Lifetime Fitness, and I would sit there and look at some of the people. I call them the Walking Dead. The reason why I call them the Walking Dead, because they have so many blood-borne diseases, and their blood is tainted. They won't heal. They go through these tragic diseases. They die, and it's in their bloodline. It's in their bloodline. And they wonder where those diseases come from. It's the culpability and the responsibility for what has been done. The natural scales of compensation. It's called the natural laws of compensation. The natural laws of compensation does have a way of balancing things out. Because one thing going up into my 51st year, less than 30 days, I noticed, like I said, just looking at the rhythm of life. I'm a people person. I study people, and I study myself, you know, the rhythms and patterns that I see, when I see some pockets of extreme wealth and I see people who ain't been outside in a couple years, they look like ghosts. Their skin looks like crepe. They look like they're in between two dimensions and they're trying to figure out who they are because they know where they are. There's a responsibility, and I figured out why a lot of people with a lot of money stay in the house all the time. They have to watch the money. They have to make sure nobody is behind them, creeping on them or scheming on them because they scheme to get where they're at and they scared to leave. And these are some of the trends that I've learned about being around a lot of big money. Because at first I was impressed. First I was enamored by it, but then I started to understand that there is a different responsibility with making it so high up on the ladder. You know what I mean? And it's not really,
Awesome!
you know what I mean? Because it does come with a responsibility. That being said, and like I said, the revelation, and the understanding of the Willie Lynch letter, is, to spark that conversation is for you to open up your mind, for all the publications and things that you do run away from, but you can watch all type of videos that, keep your intelligence at a low level, that keep you from creating thoughts and processes to get you further in life. you know Growing up, I'm so glad that I grew up before the computer age, because these youngins, they miss out on a lot. you know I was voting yesterday, and damn, oh, yeah, where did I put that? I tell you, the worst thing to have, y'all, is chapped lips. I don't know why I got chose this year to have chapped lips, but I got one little split right there. I know you can see it. That one little split, that one little split hurt like hell. I'll tell you that. I will tell you that. you know and this is to open the mind, and it's to create and spread that seed, put that seed of interest, put that seed, oh, why am I like this, you know um and it's unfortunate because everything that I read to you growing up in my family, my aunties, taught my cousins, my girl cousins, to disrespect the men, to fight the men. My sister grew up beating the hell out of me. You know what I mean? You know, but she been stopped doing that a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Definitely had to break her spirit from that. And it's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate because a lot of black women are so aggressive towards black because that's how that they culturally taught that. It's reverse roles. Teach the man to be physically strong and mentally weak, and give the woman the power to disrespect him, to low grade him, to belittle him, to berate him, and to put him in a space where he feels non-complicit. But she's able to negotiate. She's able to be written in comfort and style for other businesses and the pleasure of others, and yet instead disrespect the black man. The way that they got to break us, like I said, they took the strongest man, like somebody like myself, and they tied their ankles to horses in opposite directions. They tarred and feathered him. They set him on fire and they pulled him apart. The only escape from that is to shoot that person. The only escape from that is to shoot that person. And it was done countless times and thousands, hundreds of thousands of times to break this culture that we call black people. It's the psychological taking a black woman and making her psychologically, taking her independence and her dependence on her natural counterpart. Because in the not in the natural state, nature provided us for our continuity, for our children and our offspring. You know, and the whole process of slavery was a coalition of agreement between all cultures, between the shores where they landed on, the ebony shores of Africa or the Ivory Coast. You know, there's a whole process. And I was watching this thing on Ghana. Y'all should go on YouTube and look up, type up slavery Ghana. They have tours where they take people through the slave houses and where people were kept. They were rounded up. They, people, be walking. They get kidnapped. Boom, 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 chained, held. The boat come in. They offload the spices and goods or whatever, and then they load people in and they take off. You know, and still to this day, even growing up, I can remember, my auntie, getting mad. I ain't gonna say her name. It's not worth it. I can remember her getting mad and seeing the fire in her eye, and my grandmother said this with her evil ass. You know what I'm saying? Her evil ass, she would always tell me, this is a woman's house. Okay, cool. It's a woman's house. I got into it with my auntie like in my 20s, and she was like, this is a woman's house. Got into it with my mother. I fell off my feet and I had to move back home to wretched ass Milwaukee. I was in my mother's house for a total of 2 days. 2 days. I remember as I was coming in, she told me, she said, you can't have no friends here. You need to find a house as soon as possible. This is a woman's house. And if I'm not boo boo the food, and if peanut was not butter, you know what I mean? And if jelly didn't go with jam, then you could just tell me. I turned around and I walked right back out. And I think that's the first time, I called her out her name. You know what I'm saying? You know, and people, y'all can say whatever. You don't have, my experience is different with the so-called people that I've been around. You know, my family consists of people that I've handpicked and chosen to be in those positions, you know, because the people that got the same blood as me, they are not my family. They are a bunch of people that are relatives. I don't associate with none of they dumbass. You know what I mean? And I'm a respect, what I'm saying, the community policies of YouTube and Facebook, and definitely with that being said, it's definitely. So I don't have that. A lot of people I call family. I have to go see them, and I stop going to see their ass. And nah, you know, family don't threaten you. Family don't, put their fingers under your covers at night in the dark. Family don't try to catch your sister or cousins as they're growing up. That's not family. That's some fucked up shit of some perverted ass people and things that they do. You know what I'm saying? That's not family. You know, that is not. That's vicious. Family don't, hit you with extension cords or branches and sticks and things that they fall on the ground, found on the ground. That's not family. That's not a whooping. That's not you got your ass beat. The motherfucking people should have been locked up. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is what it is, you know? And these teachings come from the Willie Lynch theory. How do I know that? Because my mother used to beat the dog shit out of me to comply. I never complied. I ran away from that wretched ass place when I was 13, because I didn't want to comply, because I didn't want to listen. Why do I need to get whooped with extension cords while I'm in the shower? Why do I need to get hit in the motherfucking mouth. Because as I grow, I'm not going to be a boy forever. At some point, I'm going to turn into a motherfucking man. At some point, at some point, you know? And those teachings beat, keep the black man, take the female, teach her to be dependent. So my mother was dependent to get her $683 from the welfare state. That's why when the social worker came, she could never have a man over because her psychological frozen independent, when she thought she was independent, she was dependent on Wisconsin to give her that welfare check and to give her them damn food stamps. You know what I mean? So her psychological dependence on the state of Wisconsin was her motherfucking man. The state of Illinois and every state that had women on welfare, and you can go back to the 70s and you can, see Claudine. It's a movie, 1976, Claudine, Claudine, with Diane Carroll. The Times is spot on. The Jeffersons is spot on. And Norman Lear didn't make those shows. A black man made those shows. Norman Lear claimed them, and he made it. Because how the fuck did Norman Lear know so much black people? And he white as hell. Hmm? You tell me how. His name was splattered up there. See Norman Lear everywhere. And Norman Lear was asked, how do you know so much about this? And then it flipped to another interview where his assistant, who created the shows, said, I created these shows because of this. I got paid, but Norman Lear got the recognition. Just like that. So tell your mama, tell your sister, tell a friend that the story did begin. You know what I'm saying? At 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. You know what I'm saying? I will go live, and today was the completion of the Willie Lynch Letter and the making of the slave. You know what I'm saying? And in that conclusion, I'm talking about how I grew up, and I'm going to open up my closet and skeletons out there and put myself up on the Barbie. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. And like I said, the state became her man. So her psychological frozen state of dependence. Keep the male physically strong, but beat him, break him, break him, break him. So when you deliver him up to us, he can work and he can be tied to the horse. And he can give us good years of production and good years of labor. And we could be safe because his mama is standing guard. You know what I'm saying? When you done been hit with bowls, back fisted, front fisted, you know what I'm saying? Thank God my mother never kicked me. Because I think if she had to kick me, something would have went off and I think I wouldn't be here. And I think my days would be short. Because in the Bible it does say a man or a woman that puts his hands on his mother or father, their days should be short. And thank God. I remember when she looked at me the last time she hit me with that goddamn punch bowl. My mother looked at me and she said, "Get out." I said, I need to, because you will not do this to me no more. You will not. You know what I mean? And I left. And she froze. She was in danger. You know? That was a day when I looked at her and I said, you won't. I'm out. Hmm. And well, hell, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I love her. I'm going to bury her when it's time to go, and you keep on moving. Because, like I said, nobody cried at my grandmother's funeral. You know what I mean? And half of them, it is what it is. More power to them. Because one of my cousins, she laying up in a room dying like a motherfucker, and ain't nobody going to see her. She got tubes coming out of her nose, her ears, and mouth, and that's what relatives are. That's what a relative is. They'll leave your ass in a motherfucking room and take all your money and just let you sit there and die and rot. Treacherous people. That's why I don't want to be around them. You know what I'm saying? Naomi, Bridget, Michelle, Davi, Karen bum ass, uh, William bum ass, Philomena bum ass. You know what I'm saying? Michelle dead. My Uncle Wayne dead. Only good man up out of there. You know what I'm saying? My so-called Uncle Kelvin with his weak passive ass. You know what I'm saying? You know? Luke, I love Luke. I love Essence. I love Peaches. Who else? Them dirtbag fucks. Oh, Danielle, her dirtbag ass. You know what I'm saying? Deshaun, I love Deshaun. I love Pooh. Let me see. Who else? I just don't think there's. Oh yeah, they just dirtbag fucks. And my dirtbag ass sister. So those are relatives, and it all comes from teachings like this. You know, And the reason why they're relatives, because like I said, my auntie used to talk to me like, boy, shut up, and just rude. She was loving, but she was rude. And my auntie used to fight men. She used to fight men. My auntie killed a dude. She was back in the 80s, she was hustling. She was going from one house, taking the money to the house. And in Chicago, they got the self-defense rule. Dude caught her in the alley, whooped her ass, and my auntie is every bit of 6 feet. You know what I mean? Mixed woman, black and white, look more white than black. You know what I mean? And he made a mistake while he was whooping her ass and beating the shit out of her. She went in her waist and she shot 3 times, and he ain't never live again to see another day. And my auntie was gangster. I ain't gonna lie. She was mean. She was loving, kind ass heart you know just she just died with bad intentions. And it's unfortunate because these psychologies right here is what made her like that. Is what made my grandma like that. These psychologies break the man, keep him physically strong and mentally dependent on you and whatever white man you want to deliver him to, so he can work and he could be a good one. I remember when I used to say, man, I'm strong as a horse. You know what I'm saying? Or people would be like, man, you look like a stallion. Don't relate me to no motherfucking animal. Or I used to use terms like, I'm strong as an ox. Nah, I'm so, the culture, the way of thinking got me telling myself that I'm related to an animal. And so thus, therefore, people gonna treat me like that. Thus, therefore, people gonna lower my standards and say that I'm a quarter of a man. And I'm in the Constitution, it's written in that a black man is the equivalent of the a hind of a horse's ass or a mule. Nah, I'm worth more than that. Know that. Know that. You know what I'm saying? I'm worth way much more than that. You know what I'm saying? You know? And it did perpetuate. This psychology has perpetuated in my community and in my culture for hundreds of years. You need to read this and decode and understand why you are the way you are. It's a revelation. It is. It is an understanding of facts. It is that psychology is imprinted and implemented on the people for control, for desire and destination. Thank God for the internet, because we're gonna bust it open. Like I said, look at the movie Claudine, 1976. It shows about the black condition in those times in the true form. And read this book called Without Sanctuary. Yeah, if you go look at that book Without Sanctuary, it's gonna open up the thought process. Believe that. So we got to be on time every time and be the right time. You know what I mean? Let me speak with a pure heart, open consciousness, and true form and a point. You know what I mean? And if you never didn't understood what it is, this was the reading and the conclusion of the Willie Lynch letter, the making of a slave and the making of the Negro, which is a social group. You know, what are you? Afro American? Oh, I'm defined by my hair. What are you? African American because you took me from my country. You know what I mean? So, like I said, there are many things to discuss on this platform. You know what I'm saying? I am a street talking motivational speaker, so I'm going to talk about the things you don't want to talk about. You know what I mean? Tell your mama, tell your sister, tell a friend that it did begin. And yeah, I got enough hair to go get my S curl now. So, for my birthday, I'm gonna give me an S curl just for a couple days. Wow, y'all crazy. You know what I mean? And we just gonna growl like this on a good term. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Be healthy, be happy, and do what you do to make yourself happy. And if you got to make a change in your life to get to greater levels of enjoyment and understanding, and thank you for allowing me into your heart, your homes, and your mind, because no lie, I definitely, this is my therapy, definitely cleaning out my closet is my therapy, because I ain't gonna be cleaning out my closet for the rest of my life. I'm only gonna clean it out until all of the refuse is gone, and then you keep moving, baby. Yeah. There's a shape to this channel. You know what I'm saying? And you have definitely been in the presence of the one and only Michael Coates. You know what I'm saying? So y'all have a good night. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it has been a production of 1438 North 9th Street, 1438 North 9th, the podcast. You know what I'm saying? And I am your voice of choice, the one and only conversation. Give me some stars. Put them in. It was a pleasure. Y'all have a great night. Take this information, understand it, devour it, open it up. And whatever parts apply to you, believe and understand. You can only get better. Y'all have a great night. I will see y'all tomorrow. It has been a production, and my brother Brian Fitzgerald Coates says, y'all have a good night. And
I love it. You guys are so great.
So peace out, y'all. Have a great one. God bless. Yeah.